Hello everyone, I am back with another video. So in today's video, or tonight's video, actually it's 9:09 and at night, I'll be talking about nationalism, or the belief that you're practicing some ethnic religion that, and the problems that comes with it. So one of the things that really deceives a lot of people is the belief in an ethnic religion. And I'm not saying this because I'm against people practicing the religion of their ancestors. That's not where I'm having my gripes at. So we know a lot about written civilizations like the Greeks, the Romans, and the Egyptians, or the Kemetics, but we really don't know a lot about their rituals, or actually to back, we don't know anything about their rituals. Now, we know the names of their festivals and what deities that were honored. However, all the ritual words that are written down are actually created by someone and put into a book. And the reason for this is quite simple. There's no written record of what was said during those rituals. So we're inventing these rituals and we're performing them, and we have this this deluded belief that we're practicing something ethnic when we are actually not. So if you're talking about ethnic, what exactly is it? What exactly is considered ethnic? Ethnic is actually what is connected to a particular place and a particular group of people. So, for instance, is hold on a second. So, one of the things about so-called ethnic religions is these religions were destroyed. Now, I'm not going to go into the whole thing of Christianity is bad, because it's not. It has its problems, but there's a lot of really good Christians out there. There's a ton of good Christians out there. They look at the past with horror because they have a different worldview than people 500 or 600 or 700 years ago. Things change, they evolve, they grow. We look at what our ancestors did, and we look down upon it, and we go, no, we're not having that kind of society. So when you have a bunch of people in a far-off place that says, we are the ethnic religion, and we're going to decide who can be part of the club and who cannot, that is not good. And what makes it worse is that people that would not normally approve of this kind of behavior approves of it because they hide behind this persecution and this we're conquered people from this group of people. And there's a lot of well, because the Turks conquered Greece and all this stuff, that we're supposed to ignore what our guts are telling us about these people. And they use it very successfully and very well. They ignore the fact is that a lot of churches actually went along with the Turks because it was of their best interest to do it, or because it was a system that they were accustomed to and cozy to, and they benefited greatly from that particular period of time. So you have this little snuggle relationship between the church and the Turks. So they ignore that, fellow Greeks went right along with the destruction of native religion They went along with a lot of the stuff that was going on with the Roman Empire. They ignore this thing. They promote books that talk about, oh, how evil and bad the church was. And I am not going to ignore the fact the church, the whole claim they had was that we are the supreme voice of religion. We are the ultimate representation of the church, of the bride of Christ. So, so if you are somebody who's interested in venerating, honoring the Greek gods, it's very easy to ignore some of the stuff that you know is wrong just so that you can fit in. Meanwhile, they're looking down upon you as less than worthy to honor these deities. And the Hellenic community is very big, but most people, they look up to Yse, the Ysee, and they look at them like, oh, you know, they have fought for the right to practice their religion legally, which they have done, and they have done a great job. But you have this quiet kind of, okay, what are we going to do if we get recognized? Okay. So one of the things they won't do is they will not marry same-sex couples. Okay? Just like the church won't marry them. They also will not marry infertile women and infertile men. No matter if it's a man and a woman coming together, if they're infertile, they won't marry them. And the reason for this is that the purpose of the ritual was to bring fertility into the house and everything. And they ignore the fact that women were property. So like in Pompeii, you will have men having female slaves, and their only job was to give pleasure. They had no rights at all. First of all, they didn't have rights as slaves, and they definitely didn't have rights as women. So that's one thing. But it's their bigoted and their folkish beliefs that is the most troublesome, because it can lead to much more serious problems than just they won't marry people that are LGBT. We have seen what folkism looks like. You know, folkism got started in like Nazi Germany. The belief that, you know, of this pure Aryan race. And my brother does not like Hitler at all, or his ideology. But when the ADF got called on the carpet for their racism, the YSEE had to kind of like hide their unsavory behavior behind carefully worded words. Still send signals up. But you have people in the American Hellenic community that have no problem with Yse. They think Yse is this great organization. They promote them. They buy their books. They have no problem. They have no problem with their anti-LGBT stance, which the Pagan Federation definitely would have a problem with that. They have made it very clear, and the Pagan Federation has made it very clear, that if you are an organization that discriminates against other people, you're not welcome. If you are a couple that wants a pure white priest to marry you, you're out of luck. They will not marry you because you're a bigot. So yeah, I mean, they hide behind these, you know, this screen of oppression and of historical oppression and everything, and they're able to get away with a lot more stuff than, say, the ADF would have gotten away with. So I had posted on Kemetic Reform about, is ethnic religions good or bad for modern paganism? And I've actually talked to I talked to a Slavic pagan who actually said basically that they're a bunch of crazies. But he's made it very clear ethnic religion is not good for modern paganism because it is their just delusional belief that they're practicing something that was practiced over 2,000 years ago. And that is not true. The Mari are the only pagan group that can actually lay claim they're practicing religion as it was practiced a long time ago, because they're considered the last pagans in the world. They are not neo-pagan on any stretch of the imagination. And then Yessi has their gripe about neo-paganism, even though they are a neo-pagan group. And they basically say that, these other organizations are just pretending to be Hellenes and all that. So there's a lot of, everything about YSEE really makes my stomach turn, and it's one of those things that when you go and you have nationalism and you have folkism and it gets integrated into modern day Hellenism, it produces a very toxic pot. And of course the Hellenics aren't the only ones that are guilty of this. You have Afrocentric Kemetics, as I mentioned in my previous video, that believes that people with the right kind of DNA have no business venerating and honoring the Kemetic deities because they're not black. They are the descendants of invaders and they have no claim to this ancient religion. So Kemeticism is not at all a ethnic religion, even though it is practiced by, I think, five Egyptians in the whole entire country. But they don't say we're an ethnic religion. We are a not new age, but we are a neo-pagan religion that's attempting to reconstruct these ancient rituals and practices from the ground up using primary and secondary sources. So there is a lot difference between Kemeticism and Hellenism, Kemeticism and heathenism, Kemeticism and Celtic paganism. And this belief in the right kind of blood and the right kind of heritage has infected every part of paganism. But you have to, as an individual, say, this is a religion that I practice, but I'm not going to be near these people. And that's why I think, having a religion that says, yeah, we're neo-pagan is great, because you're not putting ethnic in it, you're not putting any of this stuff in it. But YSEE and ADF and all the people of their same ilk is going to be a huge problem for modern day paganism. And this is one of the huge reasons why we're not taken seriously, because of what has been allowed to fester and breed and grow in this community. So I'm going to end it here. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and until next time, Shinakdi.